Stephanie.
Hello. All right, got it. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is our Christmas class. Even though we're only in November, we are ready to celebrate the joy of the season with you with some really cute ornament ideas. These are mini ornaments, and we are going to show you a lot of different techniques on how to make mini ornaments personalized for everyone in your life. We're going to show you how to use a mold, how to do some cool mold techniques. We're going to show you how to embed photos into your resin and hopefully give you lots of creative ideas to start crafting. So let's go ahead and switch to the other camera. Down here, these are the projects that we're going to be making. So first we have these monograms. Now these are small. You can see when I hold it in my hand, they are small. We are, a jewelry company, so our molds are more jewelry sized, but I love these little mini molds if you have a mini tree, or if you want to create a lot of ornaments for everyone in your life, you don't use too much resin with this little mini size. So you can see these use a mold within a mold. So this letter B, this monogram, is embedded. I'll show you the edge. So you can see it's embedded down inside that second circle mold. And we use real dried flowers and real leaves in there. We're going to show you how to do that. And then our second project uses photos. So this, how cute are these little ones? These are Rosa Vergara. She has crafted all of these projects for us, and she is at my side as always, helping along for every class. These are her grandkids, and they are just adorable and preserved forever in this little ornament. Here's another one of her little babes. Okay, so let's clear space here. And first I'm going to talk about what is UV resin and how it is used. So UV resin is a liquid. It's a clear liquid. Oh, this is a very loved bottle. Let me give you a view of a brand new bottle here. This is what it looks like in stores. So this is a clear glue, essentially, that pours out of the bottle ready to use. And it does not harden until it is exposed to UV light. So hence the name UV resin. So here is a UV light. Here's underneath it. When I hit this button, you'll see those lights pop on. And so this lamp cures this product, but it also cures in any type of UV rays, meaning that it will cure in sunlight too. Sunlight is actually my favorite way of curing this product. It just gives you a deep cure that you cannot get from like a machine. So do try curing it in the sun. Let me show you the different sizes of resin that are available. This is the small bottle. This is 25 milliliters. This is the medium bottle at 60 milliliters. And here's Big Mama over here at 200. So this is all the same product, just different sizes of it that's available. Let me bring this up a little bit so you can see how big this one is. This one's great if you have that coupon that you've been waiting to use. You'll get a really great value there. So this is hard resin. When you look at UV resin, 95% of the projects that you will see are hard resin. So you can see at the bottom of each one, it says hard type. There's also a soft type resin. So let me move these. And I'm going to show you that side by side. So this is hard type. Almost all the projects we do are hard type, but here's soft type. And I'm going to show you the difference between those. So hard type resin, here it is. It's hardened. It's basically like plastic once it's hardened. Soft type resin, this is a bracelet we made in one of our fall classes. Soft type resin, see how it moves and bends? It like cures to a gummy bear texture. So it really depends on what you're making. and how you want to wear it on your body. If you're making a bracelet like this, it's sometimes nice to have something that can curve around the edges of your wrist instead of being hard and flat. So that's what soft type resin is and hard type resin. And that is the difference. Otherwise, they're the same in every other way, just the texture that's left after it cures. All right, so we talked about the resin. Here's the lamp again. If I hit the button, it turns on for 1 minute. So it's got a 1 minute timer. Your cure times are anywhere between 2 to 4 minutes. It really depends on what you have put inside the resin and you know, how thick it is, how dark it is. But if you want to cure in the sun, probably about 5, 6, 7 minutes, something like that in the sun on a sunny day. It will still cure on a cloudy day as long as you're getting some UV. So on a cloudy day, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but it's all very instant crafting. You don't have to wait overnight for this stuff to cure like some epoxy resins. You have to wait 24 hours before you can take it out of the mold. All right, so we're just going to get started with our little mini ornaments. Now, these all come from a silicone mold. And here's the mold. This mold is great for making keychains, for making jewelry pendants, or for making mini ornaments, of course. And so it comes with 5 different shapes. Each of the shapes has this little like tab or a loop at the top. And that is what makes the hole for you to attach it to something. In this case, onto some like bamboo cord, so we can hang it on the tree. So this is the mold we're going to start with. Notice how clear it is. All of our molds, you can see our name there, Blue Moon Studio. All of our molds are designed by us and are this very high quality clear silicone. That becomes very important when you are using UV resin because it cures in the rays of the light. So if it cannot, if the light cannot reach it, if it's blocked, it won't work. Okay. All right. So first, oh, sorry. Let me show you the other mold we're working with. This is the alphabet mold. That's how we're going to personalize monograms for all of our friends. And so actually we will start with the alphabet mold. So the technique I'm going to show you is mold within a mold. So we're going to first make a letter and then we're going to put it inside here and do it again. So that's how we embed the letter down inside. All right, so I take my resin. I see a question that popped up in the chat, and that is the soft cure resin available at Michael's? Yes. All of the products that I'm showing you today are available at Michael's in the jewelry making department. Another question came up in the chat. Can you use these molds for clay? Yes, you can absolutely use these molds for clay. However, they have not been tested for ovens or oven temperatures, so I can't vouch for that. But you can certainly pressure clay into there, demold it, and then bake it. Okay, so you can see I just poured some clear resin into this. This is the silicone cup, also available at Michael's. And then I have a little wood stick here, and I'm going to mix up a color. Here's my example here. So this is a brown glitter color. So we're going to mix up a brown. To do that, I'm adding tint. So we sell tints. And I'm going to show you what those look like. There you go. So here's what they look like in stores. These are special resin tints that work great. Okay, we're mixing up a brown. It's helpful when you're mixing a brown to think of it as dark orange. If you have trouble with color theory and color mixing. So I'm going to add 2 drops of yellow tint and then just a teensy weensy little bit here of red. And I'm going to add an even smaller amount of blue because brown is all three of those colors. First, I'm going to mix these, and you can see right away how concentrated those tints are. Just those few drops. That's all I need to make this. And now I'm going to add the tiniest bit of blue. These are all very concentrated, but I have to say that blue is the most concentrated. I'm going to put just a tiny little bit right here on the side of my cup. And then go in with my wood stick, pick a little bit of that up and mix it in. And I can already see that I'm going to need more red. I'm going to go ahead and put another drop of red in there too. I will encourage you to use the chat function. I can't always see all of your questions, but the ones that I see, I will try to answer live so you can get an answer. Get a little more of that blue in there.
Hey, Stephanie, while you are mixing, there is a question asking if the project is sticky, does it mean it needs more time under the light?
Yes. Yeah, so that is kind of a common experience that people have with UV resin. It retains a little bit of surface tackiness. So the inside will be totally cured, but the outside layer, the part that was exposed to air, can have just a little bit of tackiness to it. The best way that I found to get rid of that surface tackiness, just put it in the sun for a few minutes. All right, so here we're getting a brown color. I can make it darker by adding more blue, which I'm going to do. You can see just adding a little bit at a time is all you need. And I've mixed quite a bit of this. Let me add just a pinch more of red too. This is like color theory here. Also, when I mix the red in, I'm going to put some glitter in there. I have this gold glitter. We have a full line of glitters, confetti, flakes, all kinds of fun stuff for you to put inside the resin. All sold within the jewelry department. All right, I kind of like this color, this sort of goldeny mustard, so I'm not going to go too much darker with it. I'm going to go ahead and get this ready to drop into my mold. So the easiest way I found to do this, like, first of all, this is a silicone cup. It has a spout. I could try to like kind of do it that way, but to control it better, I'm just going to use my stick and just kind of drop it in. And you'll find that it just flows. It wants to flow into that cavity. So it may seem like it's a really little space, but it's actually pretty easy to do. So just drop by drop, filling up whatever letter you choose. I'll do one more letter. You could even get in there with a toothpick if this is making very large drops for you. Don't worry too much about getting too much resin in there. We can clean that up. Question in the chat from Leslie. Thank you, Leslie. Can you save your leftovers? You absolutely can. You just want to make sure you keep it away from that UV light because it will harden. So I'm going to take my leftovers and put them over here to the side. And then I'm going to go into the mold with this pointy end of the stick. And I just want to make sure the resin is in all the like corners and crevices, just making sure that it has reached all of those areas. And if I have a little bit too much resin, like on this end, I don't know if you can see, it's maybe just a little bit too much. I can scoop it out if I want. I always keep a paper towel off to the side and wipe that away. Okay, now I think we are ready. You can make as many letters as you want at one time. I'm going to bring my light in and start to cure that. So as I said, hitting this for one time will cure it for 1 minute. It has an automatic turn off, and then you would have to turn it back on for another minute. Because this is a tinted color and because I put a lot of glitter in there, I'm probably going to run this for 2 minutes and then we're going to demold it, show you what we got. Okay, so while that's going, let me grab my other mold here. And I'm going to use this, let me move this a little bit. I'm going to use this circle shape. Let me do it to the side so I can fit it in the frame. I'm going to do this circle shape. And for that, we're going to use dried flowers. We also have a full selection of dried flowers in stores. So this is one of them. This is our wildflower mix. We have this in a lot of different colors. That just went off. Let me hit the button again. We have this in a lot of different colors, but this is the white mix. You can see it's got a lot of different kinds of flowers in there, which makes it really fun to play with. So I have those flowers here. And I am going to delicately pick up this. These are very delicate. And go in with some scissors. And I'm going to just start cutting off the pieces that I want to use. So I'm going to kind of cut up the middle of it. And even these little pieces that break apart will be useful to you. All right, so I have that prepped. And also I'm going to grab this type of flower. It's like we call it a lace flower. I don't know if that's the real name of it. Maybe I can get at it with some tweezers. Come here, you. All right, and then also going to cut off these little, cut off the little blossoms. Now you could just put this whole structure inside that circle shape, but cutting it apart, it just allows you to control the shape a little better. There you go. Okay, so we've got our dried flowers and dried leaves all prepped. And let me show you what we have going on here. So this went in for 2 minutes. I'm going to show you, this is the fun part, is demolding. So all you have to do is kind of press on it. You can see that letter already wanting to pop out. And that's what it looks like. Have a perfect letter. You can see bubbles are not really a problem with UV resin. If you've worked with other resins, bubbles are a real issue. Not so much of an issue here. You may get air bubbles, but that's trapped air. You don't get like all of those little micro bubbles. Okay, so we have, let me move this over slightly. Okay, here's our circle. All right, so we're going to go in with some more clear resin. And whenever you're working with a mold, keep in mind that the mold, the edge of your piece, let me get this, the edge of your piece, this front edge is actually in the mold. Oops, here it is. This front edge is actually in the mold upside down. So this is how we want to build it, upside down, which means our letter has to go in there upside down. So I'm going to put the letter in first. Actually, let me spread this out a little bit. And now you can see a couple bubbles in there. But that's about as bad as it'll get. What you can do to get rid of those is I can just scoop it out. And I'm going to scoop this one out. And if it's a larger bubble, like this little air bubble with some trapped air here, I can go in with the tip of my stick and try to pop it Oh, there you go. Got it. Okay. All right. So here's my letter. I'm going to put it in upside down. I'm going to put it in the middle. And now I can just decorate. So you want to get a little bit of that resin on the tip of your stick. Use that to pick up. Let's see, this way. Use that to pick up these little elements and then just like kind of sink them down. Remember that underneath will be the front. So you want to kind of look at your leaves and see, well, what's the prettiest side? Face that down. Okay. And now we're going to put some of the white flowers. I'm just going to kind of put those around the top here. And you have all the time in the world to get this perfect. This will remain a liquid until you want to harden it. So you can take a break, you can come back to it tomorrow. And as long as you're not getting any sunlight in your crafting room, it will stay in this liquid form. Okay. How does that look? That looks okay.
Hey, Stephanie, since you just made that comment, there's a question asked, even if you want to hold on to your leftovers, what's the best way to store it?
Best way to store the leftovers is in darkness. So if you have any type of like opaque box, just, you know, upend the box over your, I wish I had something to show you. All of our boxes are currently being used, but hold on, let me see. If you had any type of box, who cares? I don't know what this box is from, but if I just put that over that, I can come back to it tomorrow. That'll just make sure I'm shutting out any type of sunlight or UV rays that would be hitting that. Okay, so this is ready. I can really fuss with it and make sure that that M is straight. Looks pretty straight to me. Mess with these flowers a little more. And now, so I haven't filled the mold up to the top, but I'm still going to cure it. And the reason I do that is because I want to lock this into place. Like after you spend your time getting it all perfect and symmetrical and putting each little thing in place, you don't want to drop a whole bunch of resin on top of that because it will cause the things that you carefully place to like spread. And so I want to lock this into place. So I do this kind of like pre-cure stage. And even for less than a minute. So this has been on for about 20 seconds. Let me turn it off. Let me show you. Can you hear that tapping? That's how long, in 20 seconds, this is already hardened. And it's actually hardened enough that I can go ahead with more liquid resin on top and fill the mold to the top. All right, and so then I just want to make sure that liquid resin gets around this little part and it's reaching all of the edges. And that is looking good and we're ready for a final cure. So I bring my light in. Let me talk just a little bit about this light. So this is a 9-watt UV light and it plugs in with to a USB. So this plugs into a laptop or however you charge your phone. Any USB outlet will allow you to charge that. All right, so that is going. And so while that's going, I'll kind of put this off to the side and I'll show you all of these in better detail. So with this one, we put the letter in the middle. With this one, we put the letter kind of up to the top. Here's another one in the middle. Here's the star shape. We use some different greenery in this star shape. All right, so that has gone 1 minute. I'm going to run it again and do some more show and tell. I like the show and tell. I hope you do too. So let me get one. These that I'm going to show you now are not necessarily Christmas, but this one we made into a keychain. And we did a little different on this one. You can see if I turn it to the side that the letters are on top of this oval shape. They're not set down into the mold. So that's up to you. If you want your letters on top, that gives it like just some dimensional. Here's another letter that's on top, and we went ahead with some flat back pearls and decorated the edge of that. This one, we used a couple different colors of glitter also on top. You can spell out short words, someone's initials. Here's another keychain, the word love. And then here's a 3-letter monogram. Super fun, right? All up to your imagination, how you want to style it, the colors that you want to use. And a question from Karen, how did you get the letters on top? So I'm going to show you that. Let me find a shape that we have over here. Okay, here's a shape that I have off to the side. We have all sorts of little experiments and things. This is a teardrop shape that we actually were doing for more of an ocean theme. So if I wanted to add a letter to the top of that, so here's the other letter that I made, all I do is put a little drop of UV resin and take my stick. I can kind of like spread that out a little bit, bring it to the edges so there's not like a start-stop line. And just pop my N on there. And then just make sure I don't have any weird like buckles. And then when I'm ready, I can cure it. Here, I want to take the time just to make sure that there's no like weirdness around here, like extra resin. Okay. Then that's ready to cure. So let's share the light, guys, under there. Okay, so this has been under for a few minutes. I'm actually gonna take that out. So you'll notice when this is done, it will be warm. And that is actually a chemical reaction that's taking place. As it turns and it hardens, it gets hot. So you just want to make sure that you let it just cool for a couple minutes. If it's hot, it can be slightly bendy a little bit. And so you don't want to bend or deform it. So you can see how easily it pops out. And this is what we have. And then on here, you can see this little extra bit. Not a problem if you have that, because you can just go in with some of these little nippers and nip that off. Or you can go in with an emery board and file. If they've got any like rough spots, you can kind of just knock off those rough spots. This is looking pretty good. I just need to add some cording. So this is just a piece of, this is actually bamboo cording. I'm going to cut a piece that's about 8 inches long or so. Thread that through. You can of course make this as long as you want. You can use a color. We're keeping it simple, keeping it neutral. Just a simple overhand knot. Now this piece was there for 2 minutes. If I put it down and then put my finger on it, see, it is a little bit sticky. It's not that you've done anything wrong. It just needs a little more UV time. And then this one, here, I'll show you that one up close. That is how you add a letter to the top. So customize, let me put it on top of the white, that way you can see it. The customization options are endless here in terms of color, in terms of color of flowers, color of glitter, the tints that you use. Let me keep that one going. All right, let me clean up. We are ready for the next project. I don't want to waste these guys because this is like crafting gold here. All of this mess. Okay. Bring that up. Okay, so the next project that we're doing are these tiny little mini photo ornaments. How cute are they? And this is just using photos that we've printed on paper. So this is regular like copy paper. Here's my photo here. Tiny, tiny, tiny. It's like a postage stamp size. Regular copy paper. We didn't do anything fancy with that. And I'm going to show you some techniques of how to get the bright colors. So this was, I'm going to show you the back of this. This was our first try. This is what it looks like when you do not prep the back of the photo in any way. Actually, can I have that photo again? Thank you. So let me show you how bright the photo was. This is just for color. It's not in the same scale, but see how darkened it got? But we've found a technique that if you back it with white resin, you can still preserve those really bright colors. So I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, but first we need to create the outside ring, and that uses our ring mold. So this is rings like that you wear on your finger. And this creates rings in sizes 4 through 9. And so we're going to use size 9 since that is the biggest. Let me mix up another color here. So taking a new silicone cup, or I can use the old one, that one's off to the side, but and just plopping some of that in there. And then I have some red glitter that I'm going to add. This is ultra fine glitter. You can use anything from ultra fine glitter to like the chunky stuff. And we do sell a lot of different kinds of glitter. Let me show you some of those. Like we sell these like awesome shardy flake things. We sell more like confetti style glitters. Like here's like a confetti style. And they come in these like glitter mixes. Like here are the flake mixes. Here is the metallic flakes. Here's just some fun. They come in these little plastic containers, so it makes it really easy. I saw a question pop up. What wattage is the lamp? This lamp is only 9 watts. Very low wattage, doesn't get hot. You can use higher wattage lamps. I would be careful anything more than like a 36 watt. Those are like for like industrial UV applications. Sometimes they can actually cure the resin too fast and you might get some smoking or smells, and we don't want that here. So contrary to what you might think, less wattage is actually is good. All right, so here we have our resin. I am going to put that in the mold, and it's going to look a little messy, but bear with me here. Now you can see I can like kind of put my stick in there and like move this to the side so it can get down in there. And I can even see if I do this. Oh, messy, messy. Do not worry though. I'm a messy crafter. I have no patience. I hope you guys have a lot more patience than I do. But that is why I love UV resin, because I have zero patience and I need to like be able to make something. I can't wait till tomorrow for it to cure. I've got to like have instant results. So I'm just scooping this stuff down into this channel and then kind of moving it to the side, wiggling this. That'll just make sure I don't have any air trapped in there. And let's go in with some more. Then I'm going to show you a little trick. Do we have any baby wipes? No. Could you wipe this for me? It always helps to have like a baby wipe on the side or just a wet paper towel, because I'm going to show you how to really clean up the top of this. All right, so all right, the other thing you can do is lift up your mold and look underneath. That can help you see if you have any pockets where the resin hasn't like gotten down into. Let's see. I can see a little pocket over here. And I just kind of poke at it. And just clean up the top. Maybe a pinch more right here. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so with a wet paper towel, like if it's gotten messy, what you can do is just with no pressure at all, just kind of slide this over the top. And I'm going to cure it. I'm not going to touch it more than that. I'm going to cure it well, I lied. Right here. And I see a little air trapped right here. Okay, now I'm not going to touch it anymore. And let's cure it. And then we'll see what we get. All right, now this is, I put quite a bit of glitter in there. So I want to cure this for probably 3 minutes. I'm gonna say. Because the outside, it'll get hardened right away, but the inside, with all that glitter, it's kind of blocking the light a little bit. So I just want to make sure that I get all of that. And I think while this is curing, I might show you some other rings that we've made. Because in today's class, we're taking this ring and turning it into an ornament, but it makes the cutest little rings. These are little polymer clay slices, little fruits. And we've just used glitter. This is another ring mold. This is our cocktail ring mold. So it's like a dome. And this one we actually made with soft resin. So see what happens when I squeeze? It moves. Oh my God. Oh my goodness, guys, look at this. Let me just slide this into the... We have so many rings. Oh my God, I love my job. Look at all these rings. This is our next class, actually, which is in December. We're going to show you how to make like every kind of awesome candy colored ring that there is. So that was a little preview for you. All right, so those are some rings. We've also taken our ring mold and made a little shaker out of it. You hear that shaking around? That's more of an advanced technique, but you can do a lot with a ring mold, not just make rings. All right, that's gone for what, 2 minutes? Is anybody counting? Thank you for Felicia for putting that in the chat. All right, so that's gone, I think, for 2 minutes. We're on our third cycle. And let's see, I'm getting impatient. Maybe I should just see. I can kind of take this out. I don't know. The other thing you can do is once it's cured for a little bit, I can flip the mold over, put it back under the light. That just makes sure that everything at the bottom is going to get some love too. The light doesn't have to fight its way. Yes. So I have my paper here. I'm just going to cut it out a little bit. Here's our picture. So let's see what we have here. So here's our ring mold. Let's pop them out. So this is the edge that was down inside there. So this is, you're always going to have a perfect edge. And that's the one that was down inside the mold. That is perfect. Here's the imperfect side. So this is any additional like overfill. Like if I overfilled it a little, which it looks like I did just slightly, but again, not a problem. Go in with your nippers, nip off any excess. It will fly across the room, and sometimes that's fun. Here's a little excess on the inside here. I can just kind of nip that off. I can go in with my fingernail and just kind of like get that off. And then any burrs that are left with a nail file, you do want to wet sand it though. You don't want to dry sand it because that is very fine dust that I don't want you to breathe in. But here is our ring. And so I could just wear that ring and it'd be really cute, right? But we're going to turn it into an ornament with this picture. So I take my ring, center it on here, and then use a pen to go around the edge just to get where I'm going to cut it. And that left absolutely no. Do it again. There you go. And then just cut it out. We've actually already cut one here. And this is just, like I said, regular copy paper. All right, so now we're going to start filling the center of this. And to do that, I need to bring in a new product here. This is our resin tape. So this is special tape that you need to work with bezels. Do we have like a bezel that doesn't have anything in it? This one, but there we go. Okay, this is a bezel. This is a metal bezel, also available at Michael's. This is a deep one. You can see how deep that is. And this is also a bezel. This is just has a back to it. This one is an open back. You tend to use open back bezels with resin just because it's clear and it's cool to have an open back. But this is typically what you would use for those bezels. We're going to use it on this molded piece. So I just cut a piece of this tape. And I have it sticky side up. And let's see. I'm going to stick this down. And just really make sure that that is stuck, because I'm going to go in straight into the inside of this. Bring this down a little bit with some resin. Just enough to fill the bottom. When you are filling with resin, like especially like a deeper shape, layering is your friend. You can never overlayer the resin. It just helps you control the process a little bit better if you're putting thin layers. So I put a very thin layer of resin and I'm going to cure that. That is going to make sure that the rest of the resin that we put on top of it isn't going to flow out. And then next, I'm going to take yet another silicone cup. I'm going to mix up some white resin. So we want to back this photo with white resin, and that's what's going to keep our colors really vibrant. So here we go. Oops, I'm doing that right by the UV light. Don't do that because you will get hard resin. Sorry, just a sec. There we go. Okay, so that's kind of pre-cured in place. And here's my clear resin. I'm adding white to it. I'm gonna add 4 drops of white to this little bit. Mix that up. And then actually before I pour that, I'm actually going to use more of the clear resin. Well, the white that I put on there, I want it to be a thin layer because white is a completely opaque color. And that, you know, again, if it can't hit the light, it's not going to cure. So I want to fill up the majority of the inside of that with clear. So I'm going to let that go for another minute or so. While that is going, I'm going to do a little more show and tell on other Christmas projects. Here are some earrings that we made. We took 2 different molded shapes and connected them together, added some rhinestones. This is a piece of stiffened felt that we cut, just attached everything with jump rings. Here, these are the projects that we did in our class from a couple weeks ago. These are shakers. This one's a dry shaker, so that stuff is just floating around in there. And then we did put a brooch pin on the back, and this is just, you use the resin like an adhesive. This one we made into a wet shaker. This is filled with baby oil. So it, you can see it moving slowly in there. And we kind of decorated the front with some chain and some little embellishments. So we do have a class on this. Jen, I don't know if you can pop up in the chat and give them the link to that class. That is up on Michael's YouTube right now. This is the class we did for a snow globe for this was Christmas 2020. So we made a 3D snow globe. This started with a glass globe. And then we made the little pearl snowman out of beads. And then again, this is using the same ring mold. That's how you can use that as a base. We also made these little gift earrings using a square mold. There's a couple different wreaths that we made using dried flowers and little bits of ribbon. Okay, now I don't know why I've gotten this, but I have gotten an air bubble. So I'm going to show you what I have. See, I've gotten a big air bubble here. So what that means to me is that there's air coming in from the sides because the side that's touching this tape is the imperfect side. So I got a big bubble there, but I think it's actually okay because we're going to cover that up. All right, here's my white resin. And so this goes down on top of that. And I'm just filling it to the edge here. You see I have a little bit of bubbles, which I'm going to try to either pop or scoop out of there. Bubbles can happen when you're mixing tints in, if you're whipping air into there, like as I tend to do, you can get a little bit of bubbling, but there you go. All right, and again, we're going to cure that down. It just covers up those bubbles. Thank you for sticking with us. We are just about done with this one. We just have a couple more layers to put on here. So while that's curing, I will ask you to post your creations using the hashtag UV Resin Craft. That's on the front of all of our packages. We check those hashtags. I love to see what you guys are making. It like fills me with so much inspiration to develop more awesome product for you guys to find in stores. We also have a brand new Instagram at bluemoonstudio.co, Instagram and Facebook. You can follow us there for new product announcements, announcements about classes, so that you will always know what is going on in the world of UV Resin Craft. You can also follow me personally on Instagram at Stephanie Menor Creates. Go ahead, follow me, say hi. I love hearing from you guys. All right, so this went for a minute. I'm just going to cure that for another minute. What else do I have to show you? Show and tell. What else? I don't know. Here we go. Here are some other things we've done for Christmas. This one is a little bar earring that we made. We just put seed beads inside there. So you get this like super beaded look that would take hours and hours, but it's just sprinkled inside of a mold. And speaking of sprinkles, we used just some candy sprinkles in this one for a little fun party look. All right, so this is done and we are finally ready to put our ornament on there. So I'm going to put a little drop underneath just to kind of set that down. Actually, maybe a little bit more than that. Bring that to the edges. And drop this down. Okay, and then I can go all in with more resin over top of that. And that is just going to brighten it, kind of, if you dome the resin, it kind of has a magnifying effect on the top. And then again, using my wood stick to just bring it to the edges, trying not to move that much. All right, let's cure it. So here's our example. So the last step that we'll have to do is add this ribbon. So this is just an 1/8 of an inch grosgrain ribbon. And we did use like Elmer's glue to attach this along the bottom. And since it's fabric, that really helps it adhere pretty well. And then you can see what's happening over here. Let me bring you in. I put a little too much resin on the top of that and it kind of spilled over the edge here. I'm going to show you how to clean that up. All right, so let me take my ribbon. I'm going to cut more than I think that I'll need, just so that I have room to make a bow. All right, cut my ribbon. So this does need to cure more, but you can see what's happening down there. Let's cure it again. All in good fun, guys. I like it when I make mistakes because then you can see that this is it's a very easy craft to do, but it's also very forgiving. If you make a mistake, you can usually fix your mistake or hide your mistake. So I'm going to show you all of those tips and tricks on how to do that. Let me show you our other example here. This one, we didn't quite fill the back. You can see the white in the back of that. go. All right, let's see what we have here. So I can remove this from the back, from the tape. The tape is reusable. Oops. All right, and then you can see what's happening here on the edge. So again, I can go in with my nippers and clean that up. We are getting very close to the end of the class though. So let me just show you quickly how to add the ribbon. So here I would add Elmer's glue along the edge here, probably until about halfway up, and then let that dry. And then just tie it in an overhand knot so that you get something like this. Okay. Cool. Well, I hope that I've done a good job at inspiring you guys and showing you all of the different possibilities of UV resin. Not even all, this is just scratching the surface. This is such an amazing and versatile material. I hope that you will try it out. I hope that you will post your creations with hashtag UV resin craft. Follow us on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, so we can see what you're creating. Thank you so much for attending and for making it all the way to the end. We really appreciate it. And tune in December for our resin ring class. I hope to see you then. Thanks a lot, guys.